Good morning, family. So, on this journey, another thing that I learned about God is that He is serious about His rules, okay? He is so serious about His rules. So, some people might think the first law that God gave us or to man was to not eat of the tree. But actually, the first law was to reserve the Sabbath. If you have the book of Jubilee, it's in chapter 2, verses 19. And it says, "And he said unto us, Behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these will keep the Sabbath day. And I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and I will bless them. As I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it unto myself, even so shall I bless them, and they will be my people, and I shall be their God. And I have chosen the seed of Jacob from among all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son. And I have sanctified him unto myself forever and ever, and I will teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep Sabbath thereon from all work. And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should keep the Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink and to be blessed, and to bless him who created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should keep the Sabbath together with us." Also, chapter 2 of the book of Jubilee, if you go over to around verse 29, and it says that it is not lawful to do any work thereon which is unseemly, to do their own pleasure, and that they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, and that it is not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out therein through their gates any burden which they have not prepared for themselves on the sixth day in their dwellings. And they shall not bring in nor take out from their house to house on that day. For that day is more holy and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. On this we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath thereon the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed it. But he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep the Sabbath thereon, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink, and to keep Sabbath thereon the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed this day which he had created for a blessing and a sanctification and a glory above all days. This law and testimony was given to the children of Israel as a law forever until Jesus. So the law is very important to God. It's so important to God that he mentions the law, the Sabbath, about at least 172 times just in the Old Testament. So if somebody say something that much, that means it's very important, right? It's just like, I don't know, if your spouse always tell you they like a certain dish, or they like the way you wear your hair a certain way, that means it's very important to them, right? Because they keep telling you what they like. That means it's important to them. So this is God telling us over and over what's important to him. And why are these laws so important. So these laws are important. In Deuteronomy 6:24, it says, the Lord commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear the Lord our God, so that we might always prosper and to be kept alive, as is the case today. So in Deuteronomy 11:8, it says, observe therefore all the commands I am giving you today, so that you may have the strength to go in and take over the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess, and so that you may live long in the land the Lord swore to your ancestors to give to them and their descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. Okay, so the reason that God give us these laws and commands is not to, keep us from having, a joyful life, and to make us miserable, and to keep us like, how some people think an overprotective parent might be, like, just keep them from having a life. God is not trying to keep us from having a life, but he's trying to keep us safe, protected. And when he put us in position, we'll be able to keep that position for a long time when we follow these laws, right? We'll be able to defeat our enemies by following these laws. The only reason why Samson was able to fight and defeat his enemies is because he kept the laws. But as soon as he started breaking the laws and commands, guess what? He got destroyed, right? So this is why God is so on to us about keeping the laws. He just wants us to prosper and be happy. And when he give us something, he wants us to be able to keep it for a long time, and not, it be a temporary thing, a one-hit wonder type. And when you go to Joshua 7:11, it says, Israel have sinned. They have violated my commandment, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possession. That is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs and run because they have been made liable to destruction. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever's among you devoted to destruction, okay? So God is telling us here again, if we're not following the laws and commands, it's going to lead to destruction. And he's not going to be with us. He's not going to protect us, right? We going to be cursed, and he's not going to protect us. We're going to be out there on our own, okay? That's what happens when you're not following God correctly, when you're not following all of his laws. You can't just pick which ones you want to follow. You got to follow all of them, okay? And then if you go to Isaiah 58:13, it says, if you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in the triumph on the heights of the land, and to feast on the inheritance of your fathers Jacob, from the mouth of the Lord has spoken, okay? So as we can see, as we've been through a lot of different books of the Old Testament, the law is very important to God, especially the Sabbath. He even tells us in the book of Jubilee that he participates in the Sabbath. You can also see that in Exodus, I believe, when he doesn't provide manna for Israel on the Sabbath, because he reserves the Sabbath. He said he's been reserving the Sabbath before he gave it to man. He's been reserving the Sabbath for a long time. So why, if the Sabbath is so important to God, why would he take flesh, come down here and break the Sabbath? If Jesus is God, why would he come in the flesh and break the Sabbath by healing on the Sabbath and growing food? That doesn't sound like the same God. I'm just saying.